What is up, View City? Welcome to our last week of our Swipe Right series. Why don't you pop a comment down below of one thing that you've learned throughout the series, and while you're at it, send this link to a friend so that they can join us for youth online and maybe even Zoom afterward. Next week we'll be starting our amazing new series all about Jesus in the building, so be sure to be there, guys. Our 5:30 service will also be in person as well as online, but be sure to book your seat as soon as possible as seats are limited. With that said, sit back, relax, grab that notebook, grab that coffee, and enjoy our final week of Swipe Right.
Hello and welcome to View City. It's week 4 of our Swipe Right series, and we wanted to do something special. So we got 2 special guests in the hizzy. We got Phil and JM. You guys can actually introduce yourselves. I don't.
Well, you just did. So we've been introduced. Hey, everybody. My name's Phil, and yeah, I'm kind of familiar with View City a little bit, but good to be here.
Familiar with View City a little bit. My name is Jean-Marie. Are we supposed to give like any background details?
Favorite color? Favorite animal?
color?
Your superpower.
Favorite color would have to be green.
Green is a nice
That's
color.
my favorite color as well.
Green.
I feel like it was purple when you're younger, and then you
Progress to
You
green.
get older and then it's
I was
green.
going to say, isn't it purple? And
It
then-
was purple.
Mine was also purple and now it's green.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And me and Saz are matching, and
Yeah.
that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
No,
Thanks for that intro.
for those of you guys who don't know, Phil and JM, they were actually here when this youth started. You know, Phil was the youth pastor and leading with Jean-Marie. So, you know, these are the people that brought me to youth. You know, a young Doomy.
Shame, he's come a long way.
Yep, I have. So it's such an honor to have them with us. They've got so much wisdom. They've been through it all. You know, they've been through the single, through the dating. I think when I met them, they were dating. I remember the first time I saw Jean-Marie, because Phil was my cricket coach. First time I saw Jean-Marie, she actually came to one of the matches that Phil was umpiring.
Yes.
So,
And I was very confused as to why Phil is dropping this guy off at home and buying him McDonald's. Like, he didn't even have enough money to like go out on a date, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna
You're
drop
like,
this.
where's my
I'm
McDonald's?
gonna drop this guy off at home. You know, got a milkshake, got a meal, and I'm like, sure. That's
When you
fine,
here's the
why?
first bit of advice: when you're dating, keep your money close. That's how you find out if
I
they're
don't
in
know
it
if
for the
that's
long
great
run.
advice.
That's not
As a
starting a
female,
while.
I don't think that's great
Yeah,
advice.
it's terrible advice. But I wanted to invest in young Doomy, and look at you. I think it was money well invested. What
It
do you
was
think?
definitely money well invested.
I mean, those McDonald's definitely stuck. They stuck around. They stuck around for a while, but no, they were really
But
awesome.
I'm excited for tonight.
Yeah.
I don't know about Phil. I don't go to Phil for much dating advice. I just think that would be weird.
Good.
But Jean-Marie has great advice. I know all the girls always just sit around and listen to her wisdom on this. So we're going to get some great stuff from tonight. So I'm really excited.
The first thing that we wanted to do, we haven't told you guys yet, but we are going to be playing a game. So the first question I want to ask is, who's the most artistic between the two of you?
It's Jean-Marie. I'm about as creative as this table
But
over here.
you're a great communicator, right?
Yes,
I like to think so.
Okay.
definitely.
So we're going to play a game. Jean-Marie, you're going to need a blindfold for this.
Oh no! I thought it was like one of those things of who's better at this, and then you like raise your hand.
Looks like
No,
a
no, no.
bandana out of Grand
I
Theft
know,
Auto.
Like that, right? So must I put this over my eyes?
Yes,
okay.
over your
Putting me
eyes.
on the spot.
This is taking JM back to her hip-hop days. Check her out.
Pop and lock.
Spotify, iTunes,
SoundCloud.
J-Money.
Okay.
Then you've got your... You can give that to her. You've got a little whiteboard.
And the
There
whiteboard
for
marker's
you.
open.
Yeah.
Is it open already?
So-
Yeah, it's already open.
Next.
So what's gonna... Yeah.
No, I just wanted to feel weird, like connects. Okay.
So what's gonna happen is Phil is gonna see a picture. He's got a picture here. You're not allowed to tell her what it is, but you're gonna instruct her, you know, through the brush strokes or the pen strokes, what she's gonna be, how she's gonna draw it, you know, and draw those lines and
So
draw out this
can I
picture.
give descriptive words?
You can give descriptive words, but you can't tell them what it is.
Okay, I won't.
Here's that.
I won't tell what it
oh my
is.
goodness
Over there.
gracious.
Okay. So we're trying to get to this picture.
Yeah, which you're going to take us on a journey to get to this picture.
Okay. So love, these are known as man's best friend.
Oh, that's easy.
But wait, so you kind of know what it is now, but now we got to get this picture.
Yeah.
So what does this man's best friend do when he's waiting for food? What do our man's best friends
Are they
do
big?
when they're waiting for food? But what's the position that they take?
They sit.
Okay, well, this
Lie
is
down.
30 seconds. You must write it down.
How do I
So,
draw a dog
instructor in her pen strokes, where she.
So you're good there. So do a rounded top. There you go. Nose. Very nice. Oh.
Tail.
Oh, it doesn't tail.
I want to do the legs.
Yeah, do the leg.
Am I far enough? Is that tail okay?
Yeah, tail good.
Look at this communication.
It's great.
How it's done.
I'm keen to see this end product.
I'd love
Not
to.
bad. It looks a bit like a tyrannosaurus at this point. But yeah, do the front legs.
I do feel like Jean-Marie's eyes closed drawing is just going to be better
No, it is looking very.
than my open eye drawing.
Up. Chest a second.
About there. Start with the
Okay.
chest.
No, that is the chest.
Fine. Okay. That's the chest. Just round the chest.
When do
out
I
a
need
bit.
to start the snout?
And you're not anywhere close to it. Round the chest. So go around it. That's the chest. Now bring it in. Bring it in. And now you want to concave that. You're at the neck now.
Yeah.
So concave that and bring it out for the snout. Wow. Okay. Okay, cool. You can bring that back in. Keep going. Keep going.
Sure.
This is communication.
And now you can
Tops.
bring it, you can convex that
Just
out.
some
Convex.
convex. There's some fancy words that are just coming from Phil's mouth.
And straighten. There you go. Okay,
Hey.
so whoa. Stop, you're done.
Okay.
You're done.
What about the ears?
Take the pin off.
What about the ears?
Okay, you can bring that, carry on with that line then. You can do the ear. So bring that down. Yeah. Now it's around that.
Jean-Marie just wants to do this with excellence.
She's
you know?
going.
She's going
the
for
extra
it.
mile.
Okay, stop. You don't have to keep your pen down.
Okay, you see, you don't
Okay, I think we got a final product
Oh my
here.
gosh.
That's
That's pretty good.
that's not
take my blindfold
too
off?
Just
bad. That is not too bad.
That's really good.
That's
I
pretty
think
good.
it would
You
be
can
better
take
than a
the
dog I
blindfold
would
off.
draw with my eyes open.
Is that the deal, eh?
Yeah, you can take it.
We're going to start with just an easy one, just to get to know your guys' relationship a little bit more. But who asked who out, and like who made the first move?
Okay, so
Are you gonna?
I said that I was going to start off with this question because it's quite an embarrassing story for Phil.
For Phil?
For Phil.
I think you could look at
Don't
it
take
two
this
ways.
advice. Don't take this advice from Phil's side. So I came to church. 6
Like
p.m.
it? Sorry, that's a good start.
Yeah,
good
good
start.
Went to the 6 p.m. service at Tableview.
And you noticed me.
Okay, this is about who asked who, out, not about who saw who first. Okay, so I did notice him. Yes, I did.
That's right.
I did ask my friend what his name was. She didn't know what his name was. Went to church. When
Who's
I
this
came
friend?
out, it was a social night, like outside, and we were playing Uno.
Nice.
Uno was the game of choice.
Sure. It's a
And
rough
then
one.
as me and my friends were playing Uno, Phil came up to the table, introduced himself as Jessica because he had Jessica's tag on, which is his sister. So I actually didn't know his name. Played
Mysterious.
against us. I beat him in Uno. That's how we started.
Nice. Good
That
start.
happened. And then
I let her win because that's what the gentleman did.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And then left without getting his name or really like speaking directly to him. And then that night on Facebook, I got like a DM. And I was like,
Sliding in the DMs.
who's Phil Kutsia? And I was like really confused. And then I went into the profile picture and then I saw it was him. And the message stated, hey, I'm that good looking guy that you met at church tonight.
Did it?
You did.
So let me back myself up here. Sometimes when you know something is from God, you've just got to lead strong. You got to be confident.
That confidence.
You need the confidence. And we're going to get to this, but for the guys out there, you got to be confident. It can't be a game where you're hiding behind your mom, asking somebody
Yeah, it
out.
was quite direct. It was, I'm not going to lie.
If I had a number, I would have WhatsApped her. If
Respect.
WhatsApp was a thing, probably still on Mix It or BBM. Now, what's
No,
up? What's
no,
the
we're
thing?
not that old.
We're in such a culture of today of just hooking up or just vibing and never actually being in the point of like a relationship.
Yeah.
You don't define that. And what is the point of getting in a relationship? Like, what's the difference? Like, why is it important to like actually just be in that dating phase?
Okay, so I think it's a good question. Like that day that I came to church, that was actually the day that I said, I'm so done with guys. How funny is that? And then, because it was like, I had gone through like a year of like vibing with different guys, whatever, and you think that it's going to go into a relationship, and then they mess you around, and you kind of, the other person is getting the benefits from a relationship without the commitment that is needed from that. And it doesn't give you that security. It gives you that insecurity of, am I good enough? You know, are we like, is he ever going to ask me out? Like, and then it just starts a weird cycle in your head of what do I need to do to be good enough? I need to give him more to be good enough. And it's not like that. That's not what you don't want that to be your, like before you start dating, this is what we kind of set on how good our relationship is, like what he wants to do or how attracted he is to me. Like that's not the standard. The standard should be, you know, how well you guys like are kind of attracted to your personalities and spend some good time together. And you can kind of see how he treats girls. I'm speaking from a girl's perspective, but like you want to be able to get to know someone, see how they treat you, and if that's what they want very far in the beginning, then it's definitely, you know, what are their intentions? What do they want?
No, that's very
and
good.
it just, not in terms of like how it can maybe affect your relationship, but just as a person, that it's hard to protect yourself from just from everything in that stage because you're doubting, you want to do things to impress the other person, and it's just not a good. Like I feel like the
100%.
cycle that's flipped around is just, it's not a safe environment to.
Like I get why people want to do that. Like I get why people want to have all the physical, because that's the fun part. I mean, that's the last commitment. There's no commitment. So I get, it's not like we don't understand that, but unfortunately with how we're designed as people and with what the Bible also says about sex 100%. Especially, is that when you have sex with somebody, it's more than just a one night act or a one moment act. They are spiritual and they're heart ties that happen between two people. So it gets so good to a point. I mean, I had physical relationships in high school, and everybody is different, but I got to a point in myself where I was so troubled with anxiety and depression because I was living a life that was so different to the purpose that God had for me. And I actually think it was His grace, because I went through bad anxiety, bad depression. I actually think that was the grace of God that I went through that, because it got me to a point where it's like, cool, I never want to do this again if this is the fruit. If me like not being able to sleep at night, struggling with all of these issues and baggage and bondage that I've got, if this is going to be the deal, I never want to do this again. And it was horrible in the moment. But I'm like, geez, how good is God that He would take me through this so that I don't have to do that again. So for that idea, it's like it's a great idea in theory, but as soon as you start practicing that, you're going to find yourself maybe not at 18 or 19, but at some point in your life, you're going to feel extremely empty. You're going to feel extremely anxious, because out of those kind of one-night deals or just physical relationships, you don't get the benefits of what a good, healthy relationship gives you. And
That's
that
so
is
good.
not anxiety, that's comfort. That is peace. That is someone is going to be there for you, even when you get it wrong, even when you have bad days, even when you put on weight. and when we're both amening to that, because when it is about the physical, it's about how well
100%.
you can perform, how well you look, how you're keeping everything together. And then as soon as a moment comes where somebody better looking comes around, you're anxious because you're like, oh, but what caught me this guy or what caught me this girl, I now can't fish with that anymore because somebody's got better
That's so
bait.
good.
So for us, what's great about that in theory, yes, it's awesome and it might work for you for a while, but you're going to come to a point, because as humans, we're designed for relationships.
That's so good.
We're designed for
That's so
committed, healthy relationship, and it's not always about being, sunshine and roses. All relationships have their ups and downs, without a doubt. But with that comes so much more, and it's more part and a aligned with what God has for us, instead of just a one-night fling and lust, because that takes a lot from you.
Even if I can just add on that, and just what like you guys were saying earlier, like I think even in vibing and even in just like these physical relationships, you just get so much baggage from it. Like you're saying, like you can get so much baggage, and why add that like into your life if you aren't even planning on dating that person or having a future with that person? It's still added baggage. And even just with physical relationships, it actually can blur or like block the friendship that you need to develop as well. And myself and Christine were actually chatting about this the other day. Like if you just become friends with a person, like I get that you want to get to know people before you start dating, but I think like coffee dates are just like amazing. Like go on coffee dates, meet people, chat with people. But I think like just with physical stuff, it can often blur like what you actually think of the person and how that person's character is.
I think there's a misunderstanding. Like I think people think that Christians aren't allowed to go on dates.
Yeah.
Or they think that it's like we encourage go out for coffee, take somebody out, go for lunch, be a good person, go and get lunch. It's like that's how you get to know people. That's not sinful or ungodly. There are things that can become ungodly if you're like, hey, my parents aren't. I love those memes. Those memes of like my parents on home and it's like the dude running.
Like Netflix and chill.
So
this is quite a direct video. Just like,
just getting it out there.
Blurring
please censor us if you need to. But so that's ungodly. But actually being a nice guy and buying like if you want to go and buy a girl a coffee, like do it. Go buy her lunch. If all that comes out of it is you're being a good dude and you bought her a lunch and she just leaves with a great image of you, that's a win. If it can develop into something later on, 100%. Cool.
I think you can get to you don't need to be physical with someone to get to know them.
No,
and I think like that's very much how our culture is. And I think it's like so important, like that friendship, even when you guys said like you took a year and you got to know each other so well. And I think like that's what our culture often lacks. It's just like they're actually getting to know the person, being friends with the person, like knowing their good side, knowing their bad side. And I think like that's important because we so often want to jump into the physical, but the physical can just so blur. Like you can have this characteristic in them that like you really don't like. Maybe it's their faith. Maybe they don't believe in God, but maybe the physical stuff is so good that you actually like overlook the bad things that are really bad. And I think like that's also just something that is like so bad about this whole vibing or chasing. Like
sorry, just to wrap up the point, so I will stop talking. There also comes a point in time where the physical stuff isn't the be all and the end all anymore, because it's fun and exciting in the beginning. But suddenly those traits that make somebody so hard to be with, those start becoming the dominating features of the relationship. And suddenly the sex or the physical stuff that was so good in the beginning, now it's like, I don't even want to do that anymore because I'm so, this part of you or this trait or this character. And you find that in marriage as well. When things are off in a marriage, the sex will also stop. And we might be going, but it's because there's other things. There's other things that lead into intimacy. So with dating, it's exactly the same. So you can be like, let's run on this now. But there'll come a point in time where that person's, their beliefs or how they treat other people or how they speak to you actually becomes something that is so unattractive. And it actually starts to outweigh that. And then the relationship just dies.
No, and I just wanted to ask, like, from your guys, now that, you're married and whatever, for people that are maybe in relationships right now, setting boundaries and what happens when maybe before you go into this relationship, you already didn't set your boundaries before, or you already had sex with someone before and now you're going into this relationship. How do I, from this moment, go on, or how do I manage?
I'll start and then Jean-Marie will probably dovetail. I think the first thing to say, which is super important, is that if there's anybody watching here that has already had sex or has gone really far in a physical relationship, it's fine. You're now not, it's now that you're not allowed to go to heaven or that God doesn't love you anymore. We all make mistakes. Our sin is just in different shapes and sizes sometimes. And just because you've sinned sexually, yes, it hurts, but God can heal and redeem everybody.
It's the 180 that makes the difference, and your mindset. And
it's repenting and it's changing. As Jean-Marie just got a 180, it's we can say sorry for something and then keep going in that direction. But repenting it's a 180. I'm sorry, I don't want to do this anymore, and then actually changing. Yes, you might have one or two slip-ups later, but it's actually changing. So if there's anybody watching who has sinned sexually, I did. I'm a pastor now, and I took things further than what I wanted it to be. But God redeemed me and restored me, and I did repent. And I did turn it around. It was tough. but I did turn it around. And then when it comes to setting boundaries, and I think Jean-Marie will give more into it, I just think don't put yourself in a situation before it becomes too difficult to turn away. So like I got into trouble with Jean-Marie's parents a lot of the time because they felt like I wasn't really interested in getting to know them because I would leave their house relatively early on the weekends. But I just know that if I'm at your house till 10, 11 or 12 o'clock at night and you guys go to sleep and me and Jean-Marie are chilling in the lounge watching a movie or something, I'm not saying something will happen. I'm saying the chance of something happening drastically increases. So I'm saying I'm rather going to leave at 9 and try to diminish the chance of something going down. It doesn't mean that it was always perfect, but we were able to stay for a large extent pure through our whole through everything because we put things
we set we kept
and we tried to do it in a way that we set them before we were in trouble. If you're in it and you're like, now we got to turn back, it's like, bro, it's already 1:05 a.m. no one is home, like it's too late. It's too late. Do it before.
And it's really important that like both people in the relationship have a conviction about those boundaries because there will always be a moment where one of you is weak and the other one needs to be strong. And if that one person that is weak in that moment was the one that was pushing for those boundaries and the other person is saying like, ooh, like this person is weak in this moment, like let's just go over it. It's okay. Like you need a clear conviction.
That's good because you will get even if you've got the greatest intentions, there will be moments where it's tough.
But the good thing is when you have two people, you're not the chance of you guys both having the same feelings at the same time is like there's more chance of someone being able to be strong for the other person.
Really good.
So it is like when you guys make set those boundaries, have a conversation and speak about how it's important to you. Phil spoke many times about how important it was to him and how he would feel if we had to go over those boundaries. And in moments when he was weak, I would think about that and I would know, like, if anything had to happen here, this is how Phil would feel. And, even though it feels good in the moment, but if it goes past a certain point, there's just going to be regret. And it's just going to, it's just not going to.
And if you have enough moments like that and the regret, it actually hurts the relationship because you both don't want it. But in a moment of weakness and because great boundaries weren't put in place, the regret comes in. And then you start associating that side of the relationship with regret and with pain. But when you get married, that side of it should be celebrated. And it should be, and it's a great part. But because you kept slipping in a time where you weren't supposed to slip, you get married and you're almost like, is this allowed now? Like, how do we feel about this? So boundaries have got a ripple effect, even when you're done dating.
That's so good. And like I think like just even if we could just go on more, like maybe even just like specific, maybe just some boundaries. You don't have to go too much in detail, but just like the other ones that you said, because I think like there's always such a question of like how far is too far. If you know what I mean? And I think
all Christians are really vague about
that.
Like
super vague, and I want to hear what you guys have.
We can give something that worked for us, but it will be different. To give hard rules and hard lines, it's tough in this type of scenario. But we can give what we did.
Okay. Why are you looking at me?
Okay, I'll start. So one thing that we
too much, that's just weird.
Shami's like, don't share everything. No, one thing that we did was that we never had sleepovers. So I never slept over at Jean-Marie's house, and she never slept over at my house. We did go to Langebaan with the big family once or twice, but we were in like different rooms, like completely. So that would be the one kind of occasion where that didn't happen. But things like sleepovers and also just watching the time of day that we were together. So
I think Sarah's referring to what is too far, not your boundaries, but what sexually is too far.
You can go do a little combination of both, because I think like people also need those practical boundaries, because I think like sometimes you'll know how far not to go, but you actually haven't put the boundaries in place to not go that far, if that actually makes sense as well. So you can do both.
So I think even just on that, how far is too far, I think it's a very hard thing to nail down without being very like weird or inappropriate. But for me, I'm like, if
speak to your leader. I think like a one-on-one, because saying it.
Well, I've got something that could help. Like if her dad was in the room with you. Like, would you do that?
Yes.
So that's pretty much,
Yeah.
I would kiss Jean-Marie in front of her dad.
Yeah.
Sure. I would do nothing else. and that was just something, that helps me. And even beyond that, as Christians, and I don't mean to be that guy, but Jesus is always with you.
Yeah.
He's always watching.
He's always, Monster Inc. voice, always watching.
Yeah.
So he's there, and not in a weird way. But we want to honor the people, because you might be dating somebody that you actually don't marry.
Yeah.
So are you honoring that person's future spouse by doing
That's
that?
so good.
If you're able to shake your current girlfriend or current boyfriend's spouse one day's hand and say, hey, I handled with care.
Yeah, that's so good.
And I did the best that I
That's
could.
very good.
That's a great way to conduct your relationship.
And I know it sounds really like...
Stickler.
No. I know it sounds really far-fetched. Like, if you're in grade 8 right now and you're hearing this about your future spouse, it goes by so quickly and you carry everything. Yeah. It's not like, oh, when I'm in grade 12, I'm not going to remember this moment. Yeah. You carry, even 6 years out of school, I still carry every single moment.
Sure.
The baggage comes with you. So don't think that it's so far in advance that it's like it doesn't really matter to you right now. I wish I heard these things. Yes. And that's why it's just really important to... put those boundaries in place, and to think about like where you're going to be in the future, and also like Phil said, like when you're speaking to your, like if you meet this guy and he's super respectful, and now you're talking about past relationships, like are you going to feel embarrassed or are you going to be proud of like what you've learned? And it was really hard for us, like sitting and talking about our past relationships, and kind of like it was really hard because you've got to tell each other like what baggage or like you don't want something to come out from someone else, and that was
it's
really
not a fun
hard.
Conversation.
No, it's not, and you've got to bring up all those faults, and that will come with you. So don't think now because you're in grade 8 or grade 9 or even matric, and I'm only going to get married when I'm 30. It's only like 15 years time or whatever. Like it will come with you, and it affects you. It does.
That's so good. Like both of you have just like answered it so well, because I think like a conversation about boundaries can be such an awkward one, and you can be like, I'm not going to be doing that, because I mean in high school everyone's awkward, everyone's feeling awkward, but like I think you've just got to push past that. Like I think if you value this relationship and you want to honor God in your relationship, it's 100% like just a conversation that you have to have. And even what Phil said, like that was going to be like my answer. Like if someone else is in the room, like especially like their parents, like what are you going to be doing? And I think that's just the perfect way, because why do you want to go, like you don't want to go like just before the too far either. Like you don't want to be like how far is too far. Just think about, like I think the Bible speaks so much on purity, and even though it doesn't specifically say like how far is too far, like how are you on, like is this honoring God in what you're doing? Like is this pure? Is this practicing purity like in all ways? And I think like just to think like that, because you don't want to go like the too far, because that's too easy to slip over into the too far.
I think just it's been so good, like, so much wisdom on dating and on sex and on all of these things. But maybe a final word for the single folk out there.
Yes.
We with you. I'm with you there. Just a final word on like, your single season, like, how to do that single season well. And should I just be looking to, date someone, or should I, be just content with where I am, the importance of purity while I'm single, and how that affects when I'm dating or when I'm married.
Yeah, I think I can. There you go. 1, 2. I think what's really important to remember is that even when you're dating or even married, the most important relationship that you've got in your life is your relationship with God.
Yeah. That's
so
good.
What you can do in your single years that you can't do when you're dating, especially when you're married, is to really invest in that 100%. With all your energy, all your time, all your finances. So you've got a very special opportunity. The truth is, when you start dating, you have to start taking somebody else into consideration. Their feelings, their time, when you can hang out, when the relationship can be developed. And then when you're married, it's that times 10. Yeah. So when you're single, and I've got no regrets, but when you're single, it's all about, now I've got a very special opportunity to really give my all in building this relationship with God, because this is the one relationship that is always going to be a part of my life. It needs to always be a part of my 100%. Life. So if you can build a strong foundation for that now while you're single, you're setting yourself up to be an extremely good dating person and an extremely good good married person because you're not relying on somebody else to be something that God was always meant to be.
Yeah,
God,
so
I'm nearly done, sorry. Like, because even just how we talk about it in church, there's a God sits on the throne of our heart, and he sits on the throne of our mind. As soon as we start putting something or somebody else on that throne, it's always going to end in disappointment.
Yeah.
It's always going to end in heartache because your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your husband or wife can't do what God can do. He can't fulfill, he can't give peace, he can't give joy, he can't forgive your sin as much as you'd want him to. Only Jesus can do that. So if you can spend those times and wherever you're at, if you can spend those years as a single person really honing and developing that relationship with God, getting into your Bible, finding moments where you can pray every single day, come in a view city, building relationship with your leaders, and developing that side of it, you're going to set yourself up when you're dating.
And like if Phil spoke now on like building relationship with God, and I think the other side of things is just really focusing on building your relationship with yourself.
Yes.
There is nothing more attractive than someone who is working on themselves constantly, who is doing well in their sports, or is looking after their body physically, who takes pride in
it's
their
not about being
appearance.
ripped though, hey?
No, it's not. So
I never had a six-pack.
I don't know how many guys are like, I'm looking for like this, and then they're overweight. Do you know what I mean? Like
girls also do that.
I know. But I'm saying you want to be working on yourself, because there's nothing more attractive than someone that is really working 100%. On themselves, who's proud of their grades, who's got ambition, who who's constantly improving themselves, and also has their own identity 100%. As well. You don't you want to, for girls especially, set yourself, love yourself so much that you're not going to drop your standards. And that's definitely something you can work on with being single is find contentment, be content with yourself. If you're looking for a guy to bring anything into something that you lack, you're constantly going to be searching 100%. And attaching to something, and then accepting something that's not your level, your standard, because you're needing it and you're lacking. So that's something I'm 100%. Genuinely talking about personal experience, that I was constantly looking for relationships because I didn't feel enough. I didn't feel good enough. And then you start lowering your standards, and there was just a point where I was like, you know what, I'm so done. Why did I let that happen? And I really just, looking back, I just realized that my bar of self-worth was so low that I just accepted whatever happened, and I went along with it because I just needed someone there. So definitely in your singleness, work on yourself. Work on being if you don't have any plans for the weekend, work on being alone in your room by yourself, watching 100%. TV and doing your homework, and being content, even if there's no one there.
And I just want to add on to that, as just a single girl for quite a few years, is just to even just firstly find content like this. Because for me, in the beginning, I was like, I'm not going to watch things on dating and married, because I'm not. But why not learn as much as you can as being single, so when you get in a relationship, you already have your boundary ideas in mind, or you already know
your standards.
You already know your standards. You already know what to expect, because you can go into a relationship and not be completely unaware, or maybe you're in a relationship and you're I'm so glad I watched this. But why not be a single person and go into a relationship with already this in mind? I'm constantly just trying to grow myself in this area, so that when I do get in a relationship, I'm not oh my gosh, I don't actually know what I'm doing. And another thing which kind of combines yourself is to be okay to be you need to be complete already as a single person, spiritually.
That's very good.
And just just as a person, what Jami was saying as well. And I think we so often are we need that person to complete us. No, you don't need anyone to complete you. You're going to be just as effective and just as amazing and just as as a single person, you don't need someone to complete you, because God is the person that completes you.
Andy Stanley also says you need to become the person you're looking for.
Is looking for.
Yeah. So that's a great thing to do when you're single. It's I'm looking for a guy who's and I'm looking for a girl who's it's but are you like that? Or are you what are you doing? I want a guy who's driven, great job, and then it's what are you doing?
No, 100%.
From both sides.
Yes, and I think for you, if you're in the mindset right now, I need someone to complete me, or I need someone to make me happy, you're actually not ready to be dating, because if you're looking for someone to do something that you can do already on your own, then you're not ready for a relationship, because you need to be completed by God. You need need to be secure in yourself so that you can go into a relationship, like Phil's saying, like you can go into a relationship as a healthier person, because just because you get into a relationship, the things that you're struggling with mentally or the things that you're struggling with spiritually aren't just going to go away because you're now in a relationship. Like you're bringing that into a relationship. So I think it's super important to be complete with God, like with yourself. Let God be completing you, and just be such a secure person. Before you, if you have the opportunity now that you're single, like to be in that and really better yourself, because like I think often like when you're single you can be like, oh, I'm not going to be as effective, or I'm just single, like it's so lame. It's not lame. It's such an opportunity, and just embrace the season, because maybe the next person you're dating is the person you married and you're never going to be single again. I think embrace the single season. Like if you're dating, embrace that season and not just look at it and be frustrated,
wanting the next thing the whole time.
Next thing, like really embrace the season that God's placed you in. Trust that He's going to grow you, and do what you can to better yourself as a person, better your relationship with God, so that you can go into the next season strong. Sorry, I feel like I'm rambling.
No, really good. Really, I think it's been so good. Obviously, we don't have all the time in the world. We wish we did. We could literally sit here for another 6 hours. Okay, let's do it. I'm joking. No, it's been really good. And there's so much that we can actually chat about in our Zoom groups
100%.
after this. No, it's been so awesome having you guys on. Like, it's been so amazing to have you guys back. The people that started this thing.
You're making us feel old,
in the Bowls Club. It wasn't too long ago.
Bowls Club.
In the Bowls Club. No, it's been really good, and thank you so much for being with us and sharing so much wisdom with us.
Can I just ask Jean-Marie just to pray for us and close, just so that we can close, and then
cool, thanks. Perfect. God, we thank you so much that we can use this platform to really impact people, God. I pray that everyone that has heard this message tonight, God, that, seeds will really get planted in their hearts, God, to, if their past behind them isn't great, God, that they will find their self-worth, find their, just turn their lives around, God, and they will find their worth in you, God. And I just pray that, everything that was spoken about tonight, God, will just impact people and will really be put in place. We thank you so much, God. Amen.
Thank you, God.
Amen.